good afternoon. Welcome to Steinway Thailand. Today we have an interesting and exciting program in the afternoon. We will be launching the Steinway Youth Piano Competition 7th edition. And as our guest, we have Xinxia here today, who we are very grateful for, that will do some sharing with us as well as a little bit of a small recital. So to begin today's program, I'd like to invite Xinxia onto stage with me, and we'll have a little chat about your experience and also some of the sharing you want to give, especially to young pianists here, about what you've done so much. Yeah, join me. Let us sit because we might speak for a while. So. Firstly, Xinxia, do you want to share a little bit about yourself so people know? I'm sure many people here already know you, but for those that don't, do you want to give a little bit of introduction about yourself before I go on to ask you some questions that we have?
Okay, so hello, my name is Xinxia, Thannapas. I'm obviously from Thailand, and like 2 years ago I went to study at the Julliard school, which is the Chinese branch for New York Julliard. Yeah,
Right.
That's all.
So, like she mentioned, she's been playing the piano. She's not attended Julliard, but I think one of the main reasons why we have her here today as our guest is also today's event is to launch the Steinway Youth Piano Competition, and Xinxia was actually one of our prize winners in the 2022 Steinway Youth Piano Competition. So my first question for you is, having won first prize in your age category in the year 2022 SYPC, what would your recommendations be for some of the young pianists here today who want to join the competition too?
Oh, well, I don't really have any of like a lot of specific recommendations because everybody is like different and their style is all different. But if I could actually recommend something, I would say that for competitions, like don't stress, just relax and be happy. Because if you're stressed and like, oh, it's okay to stress during like the practice time, but when you finally reach the day of the competition and you're stressed, that will come out through your playing, and then the audience and the judges will be able to feel that too. So you should be as like free and comfortable as possible, and also super happy because that way the audience will be able to experience that too. And you should keep in mind that competitions are not just competitions, but they'll give you an amazing experience to be able to perform on stage and get comments from the jury. And it doesn't really matter if you win or lose, because the most important thing is the road between that, where you prepare and become a better pianist and musician in the long run.
Spoken like a true professional, right? Like someone with a lot of experience doing competitions. I really agree. Here at Steinway Sons, when we do the Steinway Youth Piano Competition, the purpose really is to identify, cultivate, but most importantly to encourage young pianists in the formative stages of their careers. Our competition is only open to people below the ages of 17. We think this is really the age where kids are discovering themselves. This is also the most important part of their piano learning journey, right? You're only 13 this year? Yeah. So at this age, it must be still quite, 13 is very, very young. I think the question I want to ask is, you've had quite a bit of experience doing competitions, particularly to the Steinway competition. If you could go back and do it again, what would you have done similarly, or what would you have done differently?
Well, honestly, now that I think about it again, like before, like one day after I just finished, I like had a lot of things that I wanted to do differently, like maybe play like more deeply or like be more confident with myself. But now that I think about it, I think that I would have done everything exactly the same if I had to turn back time. Because I think that there is absolutely no coincidence in this world, and everything that I did was just like made with fate. Like fate just did this, so I wouldn't have done anything different.
Also because you won first prize, right? So.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So it's more like a no regrets kind of approach, like appreciating everything that you've been through, taking it as part of the experience. So if we look at experience then, having come away from SYPC, that was 2022, it's 2024. In this past 2 years, if you were to look back at your experience with our Steinway Youth Piano Competition, what would you say is your biggest takeaway from the entire experience, not just the competition, but maybe in the preparation leading up to it, or also the experience after the competition?
my biggest takeaway from it was probably being able to perform on the Steinway Sons piano because before that, as like what I remember, I did not have the opportunity to perform on a Steinway grand piano in a hall before. So that was actually my first time. And also the second thing was that I got a professional recording. I'm not sure if it was due to the pandemic, but that professional recording allowed me to listen back to my playing and improve it as a whole. And I think that it really benefits being able to listen to yourself. Some people might feel embarrassed to listen back to your own recordings, including me. But I still think it's a really good thing for you to do. So I guess the biggest takeaway overall was the overall experience, being able to play on a Steinway Sons piano, the recording, and just being able to make informal relationships with friends.
Thank you. To touch on your point of playing on the Steinway, we, especially yourself, now that you're pursuing music at higher education, you probably go on into this route for a long time. We at Steinway Sons, I mean, besides representing the brand, we want to give a good reflection of what the actual competition and professional world is like out there. And the truth is that when you do go out into major concert hall, 95% of concert halls worldwide will have a Steinway Sons piano on stage. And we think it's very important as you're preparing to go out into a professional career that you get a chance to practice and perform on the instrument that you would eventually see on stage. I think that's also one of the biggest challenges as a pianist. Unless you're horrors, you don't really get to bring a piano with you. So it's quite important that they get the exposure and the chance to play on something that they will eventually see on stage. Yeah. And well, you spoke about your current education at Tianjin, right? So I think before I let you off and let everybody hear you play, I have one more question for you. How do you think the Steinway Youth Piano Competition has been able to springboard or allow you to pursue, whether as an inspiration or as a target, to now let you study in Tianjin Julliard?
Well, I think that before I wasn't really considering Tianjin Julliard, but like the Steinway competition at the final round where I was able to play the Steinway actually helped inspire me to go to Tianjin Julliard because the results made me more confident in myself and it gave me enough confidence and bravery to apply to Tianjin Julliard. Because the major, like a lot of people have this problem, sometimes they aren't even brave enough to apply for anything, like for high school, college, or something like that, or even music conservatories. So I think that I was confident enough to apply, and I luckily got it. And the Steinway competition really trained me for the majority of pianos, like Steinway pianos at Tianjin Julliard, because I did hold a lot of performances at Tianjin Julliard, and all of their pianos are Steinway Sons. So I think I would have had a lot of problems if I didn't get to really play in a Steinway before going to Tianjin.
Thank you. To allow me to add on a little bit, why Tianjin Julliard is a very special school is as an institution, the Tianjin Julliard is an all Steinway school, which means the school uses only exclusively Steinway pianos. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there are 120 Steinways in your
Right now, the number is probably more than 200.
Yeah, so this would be an institution with over 200 Steinway pianos, and with an institution like Tianjin Julliard choosing to go mono brand or all-in-one brand, I think it just represents them wanting to give a very accurate representation of the instruments that are out there in the professional stages as well. Right. So thank you for sitting and speaking with me. I think for everyone else here today, Xinxia will be sharing a little bit more about her experience at Tianjin Julliard later, but in between now, we'll be really glad to have her do a little performance. She'll be playing 3 pieces from Bach, Ravel, and Nabelesky, right? Okay. I Thank you very much for that. The next part I'll leave Xinxia some time actually. She's the one studying at Julliard, so I'd like her very much to be the one that shares with you your experience going to, as well as your experience being at Julliard and all Steinway School, and also if you have any plans after that. Do you want to sit there or do you want to venture? Which one?
So I'd like to share like maybe all of my experience at Julliard, from the beautiful to the ugly. So I applied for Julliard around maybe 2 years ago, and when I got accepted, it was during the COVID-19 pandemic, which is really unlucky. So I had to stay in Thailand because China had a lockdown, so no one was able to move around. So like the Julliard school's first semester for me was online. So I did everything online, from different classes to major lessons. And I guess it was a pretty weird experience because I wasn't really able to have like perfect major classes or chamber music courses, which is available on the program. So that online age was finally over because China finally opened its country to foreigners, like for them to enter. So I applied for my visa, my student visa, to enter, and it was actually a really, really hard thing to do because China didn't really fully open its gates yet. So when I finally went there, there was no one in the airport, and it was like just fresh after lockdown. But after I arrived at the Julliard school, I was extremely amazed because the facilities were just as good as Julliard's. They were actually even better, some of them, because they were extremely new, and the building itself, the campus, was really futuristic and amazing. The courses at Julliard are just chamber music courses, music theory, orchestral literature, ear training, and a lot more which are elective classes, which allow you to truly hone your musicianship and improve your skills as a pianist or as a musician overall. I was the first foreigner to enter the Julliard pre-college, and actually right now I'm the only Thai person at the entire school, so it was actually pretty new for the school itself, and they didn't really know how to adapt, but all their classes are taught in English. But one of the things is that a lot of you have heard rumors or bad things about Chinese pianists. Have any of you heard that Chinese pianists practice more than 6 hours a day? Have any of you heard that? No? Oh, okay. Well, actually, there's actually a stereotype that they practice a lot. And when I went there, I saw it with my own eyes. They do. They practice from 6 to 10 hours a day, every single day. And most of them are homeschooled. So, or like if they're enrolled in normal school, they only stay there for half the day and come back to practice. So I've seen the harsh reality, and I actually got a lot of pressure from that because all of them practice a lot, and they're super good at playing. Their technique is good, but not all of them have real musicality. So that's what I experienced. And some of you have heard. Do you know one of the competitors at last time's Chopin competition, Ralph? Do you know? Like, there's a story that he traveled by train for like around 7 hours every week to study with his piano teacher, and it's actually normal at Julliard. A lot of my friends travel 8 hours by train every week and 8 hours back to come study at the Tianjin campus. So overall, they spend around 16 to 18 hours just every week trying to travel and get to Tianjin. And one of my friends, who was actually my chamber partner last year, also traveled from Hong Kong. She flew from Hong Kong to China every single week. Every single week. And I actually experienced like how they were so committed to being musicians, and how they actually got rid of everything else just to come here, and how much effort they put in. So I'd just like to say that this is the true harsh reality of the music world that I experienced firsthand. But also, as a person and as a pianist, I actually was super amazed by the facilities, especially the Steinway pianos. And I actually, after playing in one of the practice rooms at Julliard, I found out and understood the reason why a lot of my friends travel 8 hours a day just to come here. It's because of the Steinway pianos, because most of them, or some of them, don't even have pianos in their homes. And some of them, or all of them, just want to experience the Steinway Sons pianos. Because I have to admit, it's truly different from your average piano. And I understand why they want to come here every week, like why they sacrifice everything just to be able to practice with these Steinway pianos. So I finally understood. At first it was kind of hard because a lot of most of the school spoke Chinese. So a lot of the classes were taught in Chinese, but because it's a bilingual school, they also teach in English, especially for me because I'm not that good at Chinese. So another thing that I gained from going to the Julliard school is also being able to learn Chinese and communicate with my friends in Chinese. And I think that's something really good that I got. But overall, I think that Julliard was absolutely amazing. And I feel super honored and happy to be able to move forward with the school. And I hope some people in the future will be able to join and experience Julliard firsthand too. Thank you.
You know what Xinxia shared was really quite a real perspective of it. A lot of times when we see artists on stage, we think about how great they are. Maybe as parents and teachers, sometimes we think about, oh, I wish my student was like that. But really behind that, it's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of dedication. Obviously not just from the pianists, but also from the parents and the teachers, right? I know with you, your mom is with you a lot as well. So apparently, obviously the parents also sacrifice a lot. But that is the truth about pianists and successful pianists at it, right? If we look at the story of Lang Lang, for example, how his dad had to push him when he was very young. How around he spoke about will be coming actually next week with his teacher, Dr. Vivian Lee, who's also a Steinway artist. But a lot of these people, they really put in a lot of effort. And that's just something that we don't often see because it's what's behind the scenes. So I really appreciate you giving us that very frank fact or approach of this. Obviously, it's also not easy, right? Going to a new country where people don't really speak your language, and also where things could be a little bit different. So, kudos to you at this very young age to be able to step up and be so successful in your education. Next up, we will have Xinxia again to end off with 2 pieces from Chopin.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's welcome her back on stage.
ค
Dr. Apart from the main performer here today, it's also that we would like to share information about the 7th Steinway Youth Piano Competition. So the Steinway Youth Piano Competition, traditionally held every 2 years, sets out to identify, cultivate and promote young artists in the formative stages of their careers. When we talk about formative, we really are looking at youth pianists, like I've mentioned, below the ages of 17. So in 2025, Steinway Sons Thailand will once again be holding our national rounds of the Steinway Youth Piano Competition. Similarly, this time, we would have a professional category, but we would also have an amateur category, and I'd like to share more information about each category. The Steinway Youth Piano Competition at a national round will pick one grand prize winner that will go on to compete with the national winners of 7 other Southeast Asian countries. So at this national round, we will pick one winner. That winner represents Thailand and goes on to compete with the national winners of 7 other Southeast Asian countries. The winner of that regional round will then represent Southeast Asia at the Steinway International Festival in Hamburg. So there's a progression. You win your national round, you go on and win the regional round. When you go to Hamburg, it's a longer competition. It's actually a festival where all the winners of various international regions come together, perform, and have an experience at the Steinway Sons factory. So in the professional category, we have 3 age professional class. My apologies, we have 3 age categories. It's from 15 to 17, being the oldest. In the middle, we have from 12 to 14, and from 11 and below, that will be the youngest category. And in the professional class as well, we require all contestants to play a requested repertoire. So it will be stated very clearly what needs to be played for you to qualify for this competition. In the amateur category, this is meant for people who want to have an experience playing on a Steinway instrument, an experience joining a competition, or really just to showcase their art and the experience they have playing music. So in the amateur category, we would have recommended repertoire, but it's not a compulsory requirement to play exactly according to the repertoire. And in the amateur category, we also have in the amateur class, my apologies, we also have age categories, but in this time we would split it into 4 different age categories. The oldest being 15 to 17, then 11 to 14, 7 to 10, and then the youngest category for anybody ages 6 and below. So the amateur category really is for anyone who wants to have the experience of participating and preparing for a competition to join us. In the overall timeline of the competition, today is the first announcement. So if you look at the TV screen, there's a QR code. The website is live. You can go onto the website at www.steinwaythailand.com, 7th SYPC. It will give you all the detailed information. Between now to our first registrations in October, Steinway Sons Thailand will also be organizing a series of events quite similar to this one to share more information about the competition, but also for more young pianists to inspire the next generation of young pianists. The general timeline would be that early bird applications open in October for 1 month to November, and then from November to December it will be our standard registration period, whereafter we will close registrations and then have auditions in March. So the entire period of March will be for auditions, and then semi-finals and finals, which is in person, will take place in May. So that will be the general timeline for Steinway Youth Piano Competition. I'm happy to take questions if anybody wants to know anything. The teachers or the parents around, is there anything that you'd like to know about the Steinway Piano Competition? We would also have an international jury. This will be announced closer to the application dates. Thank you. Thank you for your time, and that concludes our event for today. Thank you.